We can move on to next property, that is CSS padding. The CSS padding properties are used to generate space around an element's content inside of any defined borders. With CSS, you have full control over the padding. There are properties for setting the padding for each side of an element. That is padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left. The padding top will set the top padding of an element. The padding right will set the right padding of an element, and so on. We can inspect this using right click and inspect element. Then so we can see that the container has 50 padding from top and bottom, and 80 padding from left, and 30 padding from right. To shorten the code, it is possible to specify all the padding properties in one property. Here, the padding property is a shorthand property for the following individual padding properties, that is padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left. If the padding property has 4 values, then the first one is padding top, and the second one is right padding, and the third one is bottom padding, and the last one is left padding. If the padding property has only 3 values, then the first one is top padding, and the second one is right and left paddings, and the third one is bottom padding. And if the padding property has only 2 values, then the first one is the top and bottom paddings, and the second one is right and left paddings. As we seen in margin property, we can also give the padding values in terms of percentage. For example, 25% and 50%, like that. This will be our result of our code. The next property is CSS height and width. The height and width properties are used to set the height and width of an element. The height and width properties do not include padding, borders, or margins. It sets the height or width of the area inside the padding, border, and margin of the element. Here we gave height as 200 pixel and width as 50%. You can also give 100% as width, or according to your preference. So if we use 50%, then the result will look like this. And if we use 100% as width, then the result will be like this. We can also use auto as the values of height and width. Auto is default. The browser calculates the height and width by itself. So it will look like this. The height and width will calculate by the browser itself. We can also define the height or width in percentage of the containing block. Here we gave height as 50% and width as 100%. So here the height takes 50% of the containing block and the width takes 100% of the containing block. Also, we can define the height or width in px or centimeter, etc. That is in terms of length. Here I gave 500 pixel as height and 500 pixel as width. So it will be like a square. We can also change the values of height and width according to your preferences. There are many more to learn this property. You can search for them and you can practice them more. The next property is CSS position property. The position property specifies the type of positioning method used for an element. There are mainly 5 different position values. The first one is static. Here I used static as the position property. HTML elements are positioned static by default. Static positioned elements are not affected by the top, bottom, right, and left properties. An element with position static is not positioned in any special way. It is always positioned according to the normal flow of the page. Here is the CSS that I have used. Here I gave border as 3 pixel solid green color. So we can look for our changes. Here the HTML elements are positioned static by default. The next one is position relative. An element with position relative is positioned relative to its normal position. Setting the top, right, bottom, and left properties of a relatively positioned element will cause it to be adjusted away from its normal position. Other content will not be adjusted to fit into any gap left by the element. Here I said left property as 30 pixels. So the HTML elements will be adjusted from its normal position to the relative position. It will look like this. Here the HTML elements is moved from 30 pixel from the left. The next one is position fixed. An element with position fixed is position relative to the viewport, which means it always stays in the same place even if the page is scrolled. The top, right, bottom, and left properties are used to position the element. A fixed element does not leave a gap in the page where it would normally have been located. Here I have used bottom as 0 and right as 0 and width as 500 pixel and position property as fixed. Then the HTML element will locate in the lower right corner of the page. That is like this. Here the HTML elements are moved to the lower right corner of the HTML page. Next one is CSS position absolute property. An element with position absolute is position related to the nearest positioned HTML element. Here the parent is container and the child is heading. So we gave position relative to the parent and the position absolute to the heading, and the child will move relative to the position of the parent. However, if an absolute positioned element has no positioned ancestors, it uses the document body and moves along with page scrolling. Now we can look what had happened to our code. Here the h1 is the child and the uh, whole container is the parent, and the h1 has moved related to the position of the parent. The next property is CSS float property. For that, I have added an image to the HTML code. Also, I gave a class to the image. So, what is float? The CSS float property specifies how an element should float. Also, the float property is used for positioning and formatting content. Example, let an image float left to the text in a container. Here I have used float as right. Therefore, the image will float right to the container. That is like this. Here the image is floated to right of the container. If we use float as left, then the image will float to the left of the HTML page. That is like this. If we use float as none, the element does not float. That is, it will be displayed just where it occurs in the text. This is default. That is, this is the default value of float property. If we use inherit as the float value, then the element inherits the float value of its parent. In this section, I am going to cover the CSS font properties. So I selected P element to style. In CSS, we use the font family property to specify the font of a text. There are already so many fonts that are inbuilt in CSS. The font size property sets the size of the text. Being able to manage the text size is important in web design. However, you should not use font size adjustment to make paragraphs look like headings or headings look like paragraphs. Here I gave a 20 pixel as the font size, but it is very high for a paragraph element. But I am using this now just only to show you how it will work. The font style property is mostly used to specify italic text. This property has three values, that is normal. Normal means the text is shown normally. Italic means the text is shown in italics. And if the font style is oblique, the text is leaning. That is, oblique is very similar to italic but less supported. The font weight property is to set the weight of our text. That is, here I have used bold as the font weight. There are many font weights are available like normal, bolder, thick, etc. So that's all about CSS font property. Will be our result of the code. That is, here the font size of the paragraph element is 20 pixel and the font style is italics and also the font weight is bold. Here I have used font family as Verdana. You can use any font that is according to your likings.